Hi, welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Laurel. I'm Laurel, and in this video we're going to talk about the TI or Texas Instrument 30XA calculator. In this video I'm going to talk about the basic functions on this calculator. Then my next video will be on the scientific functions on this calculator, and then the third video will be on the statistical functions. So to start with, let's take a look at the fraction functions on this calculator. We're going to start off with this function here, ABC, which you can find on the left, second from the bottom. And we're going to use that function whenever we're doing any operations with fractions. So let's do an example. If I have 2 1/3 and I want to subtract 4/5, I can put those in as fractions and I'll get my answer as a fraction. So the way you're going to do it is enter the whole number first. So 2, press your fraction key, and then the numerator of 1, press your fraction key, and the denominator of 3. And the way it'll appear on the display is 2 underscore, and then this second part looks like a fraction, 1/3. We're going to subtract 4/5, so we enter the numerator of 4, fraction 5, and then press equals. My answer is 1 8/15, and that's called a mixed number because we have a whole number and then a fraction. If we want to express that as an improper fraction, which is just a numerator and denominator without the whole number, we can do so using this function here, d over c, which is the second function of your ABC button. So it's in yellow, or if you have a newer Texas Instrument, it will be green. And the way we access that is we go second function and then press that fraction key, and that expressed it as an improper fraction. It's equivalent. It's equal to 23/15. And now if we want to go back to a mixed number, just press your fraction key. Sometimes you're going to want to express fractions as decimals, and in order to do that, take a look at the very bottom left corner and you see an backwards arrow there, and above it, it says F arrow D. So if you have a fraction and you use this function, it will change it to a decimal. Again, it's the second function, so we go second and then press that arrow. So as a decimal, that fraction is equal to 1.53 repeating. If we want to then go back to a decimal, we just do the same thing. Second function, press that fraction decimal key, and it's 1 8/15. So that's very useful anytime you have a fraction, you want to change it to a decimal, or a decimal and you want to change it to a fraction. The next function we're going to take a look at is the percent function, which is located as the second function above the number 2. And there's a few different ways you can use that percent function. You can find a certain percent of a number. So in this example, we're finding 20% of 35. So in other words, we go 35 times 20%. Let's clear our calculator first and go 35 times 20, and then press your percent key, so second function 2. That changed 20% to a decimal. 20% is a decimal, is 0.2. And remember to press equal to finish the calculation. So 20% of 35, or 35 times 20%, is equal to 7. You can also use this percent key if you're adding or subtracting a certain percent. So let's do our next example, 120 plus 10%. So 120 plus 10%, second function 2. So that's showing 10% of 120, but again, we have to press equal to finish it. So 120 plus 10% is equal to 132. Same idea if we subtract a certain percent, 45 minus 15%, finish it with the equal sign, is 38.25. The next functions are power functions, and there's 3 different power functions. There's an x squared key, which is right here. There is an x cubed function, which is the second function of the number 1. So if you look above number 1, it says x cubed. And then there is a power function for any exponent, and that is y to the x, which is located here. So let's do a few examples. When it's just 4 squared, I can use this key. So you enter your base first and then just press x squared. It's 16. If I want to cube the 4, I can again enter the base of 4, and then the x cubed is the second function of 1. So second function 1 is 64. So 4 cubed is 64. And with any other power, I'm going to use the y to the x key. So in order to use that properly, I enter the base first, then I press y to the x, and then I put the exponent. And then we have to press equals. So 4 to the 5th power is 1024. We could have used this function for all of these examples, but sometimes you may find it quicker and easier to use the specific power when you have it. Sometimes you're going to have to evaluate powers where the exponent is possibly negative or fractional or both. So let's take a look at how we would do that on our calculator. So in our first example, we have 81 to the power of 1/2. So let's start by entering our base, 81, and then we're going to use y to the x. Our exponent is 1/2. We can use our fraction key to enter that. So 1 fraction 2, and then just press equals. So 81 to the 1/2 is 9. And if you understand that 81 to the power of 1/2 is the same as square root of 81, that will make more sense. Then we have negative exponents. So in order to do that, again, put our base in first of 4, y to the x. And the way that you're going to enter a negative exponent is you're going to put the number in first, so 2, and then make it negative after. This is called the change sign key. So if my number is positive, which it is in this case, and I press this, it becomes negative. I can use this again. If I press this and it's negative, it becomes positive. So it just switches a positive to a negative or a negative to a positive. We want a negative exponent and then equals. So 4 to the negative 2 is equal to 0.0625. And in our third example, we have a negative and a fraction, but our calculator can handle this. Let's start with the base of 32. Raise it to the power of negative 1/5. Let's put the 1/5 in first. So 1 fraction 5. And now let's make it negative. And now let's press equals. So 32 to the negative 1/5 is 0.5. Now let's talk about roots. You have 3 root functions on here. You have square root of x. There's no number in that root sign, so we understand that means square root. We have cubed root of x, and we have the x root of y. So let's do these examples. If I have square root of 100, I'm just going to press 100, and there's my square root function. Square root of 100 is 10. Then let's do cubed root of 125. The cubed root function is above the 0, so it's the second function of that key. Let's enter 125 and then go second function 0. That gives us the cubed root of 125, which is 5. And then if we have any other root other than square or cubed, we're going to need to use the x root of y, which is the second function of our power function, y to the x. So we're going to start by entering the base of 32. Then second function, x root of y, and then we put in our root, which is 5, and equals, so the fifth root of 32 is 2. This calculator is a scientific calculator, and because it's a scientific calculator, it will follow what's called the order of operations. The order of operations, you may know that as BEDMAS. You might also see it as PEDMAS, so with a P instead of a B. In either case, you're going to do brackets or parentheses first, then exponents, then division multiplication, then addition subtraction. That's the order you should do operations when you have an expression, and this calculator is programmed to do that. Let's say we're doing an example where we want to add 20 plus 30 and divide by 2. Although no brackets are shown, we understand that that line creates a grouping for the numerator and a grouping for the denominator. Therefore, when we enter this into our calculator, you need to include those brackets so that you're telling the calculator to do the addition first before the division. So to enter that, we're going to go first bracket, 20 plus 30, end of bracket, and then divide by 2. So 20 plus 30 is 50, 50 divided by 2 is 25. We know that's correct. On the other hand, if we didn't have brackets and we just entered that as 20 plus 30 divided by 2, the calculator is going to do the division first, and we're going to get a wrong answer. So just be aware that your calculator doesn't necessarily do the operations in the order that you punch them in. It does them following the order of operations. And that's very convenient when we're working with a lot of different formulas, because we do want our calculator to follow order of operations. We do want to just square the 16. We don't want to go pi times 16 and square the whole thing. We want to go pi times and then just the 16 is squared. So if we were to do this on our calculator, we're going to use the pi function, that's this function here, and we're going to go pi times 16 squared. So it only squared the 16 equals, so area is 804.2477, so on. Next function I want to discuss is the memory functions, which are seen here on the left-hand side, store and recall. You can use these functions to store numbers into the calculator so that you don't have to remember them or write them down and punch them back in. And when you use these keys, you have to assign a location because you have different memories on this calculator, and you probably won't be using all of them because then you're going to have to remember what's in what memory. But let's start by entering things in memory 1. So let's enter number 45, and we're going to store it in location 1. So we go store 1. When we do so, you'll see a little M1 coming up on the display that tells you you have a number in the memory. You can clear that, and it's still there. Now, if I want to use that, maybe I've got 150, and I want to subtract that number that's in the memory, I just go recall 1, it comes up, and then press equals. Again, I can clear it, that number is still there. There's 2 ways that I can get that number out of the memory. One way is when I have 0 on the display, I just store that, so store 1, and now the memory is clear. The other thing I can do is just put a new number in the memory. So as soon as I go store 1 with another number, that new number goes in and the old number disappears. The default setting for the decimal point on this calculator is it's a floating decimal point. So it moves depending on how large or how small your value is. So for example, if I went 5 divided by 6 equals, the decimal point moves way over here so it can show as many digits after the decimal point as possible. However, you might want to always have the numbers expressed to a certain decimal point. So maybe you always want everything rounded off to the nearest hundredth or to 2 decimal places. You can fix the number of digits after your decimal point using this function here, which is above the decimal point. So let's say I only want 2 digits after my decimal point. I can go second function, fix, and then press 2. The number is still stored in the calculator, but it's only showing it to 2 decimal places. Let's change that to 5 decimal places. We're going to go second decimal, which is fix, and then go 5. If I want it back as a floating decimal point, I go second function, decimal, and then decimal. And now it's back to a floating decimal point. Now let's talk about notation. If I have a number in regular notation, let's say 16,500, I can leave it in that notation, or I can change it to scientific notation, or I can change it to engineering notation. Scientific notation is a number between 1 and 10 with an appropriate power of 10. So if I want to change this to scientific notation, above the digit 5, you'll see SCI. Just go second function and 5, and you'll get scientific notation. So this number is equal to 1.65 times 10 to the 4th. Engineering notation is similar to scientific, except the exponent must be a multiple of 3, which means this number can be anywhere between 1 and 1,000. So let's take this same number and change it to engineering notation. Engineering notation is above the digit 6, so second function 6, and now it's engineering notation, which is 16.5 times 10 to the 3. These two are equivalent, and they're both equivalent to this. Now, if I want to get back to regular notation, I can use this button above the 4, which is FLO, and go second function 4, and it's 16,500. So you can change between the different notation depending on what you need. If you are working with numbers that are in scientific or engineering notation and you want to enter those into your calculator, you're going to use this button here, this EE button. But be very careful when you do enter your number. I'm going to show you how to do it. You're going to enter the 1.65, press EE. You do not have to press times 10. When you press EE, the calculator knows you're multiplying by a power of 10, and you'll see the 2 little zeros show up there. It's waiting for you to input what that exponent is. So we put a 4, and then we can press equals. It'll change it to regular notation, or if we want to do calculations, it can stay in scientific notation. So just be careful that when you use this, you don't put in the times 10. This function on your calculator is called the reciprocal key. It just takes the reciprocal of whatever number you're working with. So for example, if you had 1 over 10, you could either enter that by going 1 divided by 10, or you could go 10 and the reciprocal. If I had the reciprocal of 3/4, I could simply enter 3/4 and then my reciprocal key. So 3 fraction 4, and then the reciprocal key. It's expressed as a decimal. I want it as a fraction. So again, remember, we can use this key here, second function, and it's showing me what it is as a mixed number. And if I want it as an improper fraction, I go second function DC, and I get 4/3. So the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. We've already talked about the change sign key, this key here. It just takes whatever your number is and changes the sign of it. So if we had 45 and we press that, it becomes negative. If it's negative and we press that, it becomes positive. So we've now covered the basic functions on your Texas Instrument 30XA calculator. The next video is going to be the scientific functions, and the third video is going to be statistical functions.